before we get started on talking about the miner and what's coming and what we're doing there, I'm going to give you just a brief update on project roadmap and development efforts and what's going on. Over the last couple of community meetups, we've talked a lot about the roadmap had been put kind of in an on hold status so that we could focus on a lot of coin related stuff. In December, we began the process of migrating over to Solana so that we could do DEX as a inexpensive or at least a cost-effective way of getting onto really highly liquid exchanges without having to get past the Binance gatekeepers and pay big market making dollars and blah blah blah. So that's all pretty well done now. The transporter has effectively worked well for sending across SPFs and turning them into D2X. We then implemented SCP, moving across. In both cases, we built a process for a one-way bridge, which really doesn't leave a very clean avenue for arbitrage. So what we have is we have a really weird situation right now where, and I wondered if this was ever going to happen, and it happened almost immediately, where essentially the prices were tracking very closely on both sides of the fence. And then one individual dumped a significant chunk of tokens, and in that process, the price got crushed over on the other side. But there's no easy way to arbit, right? You can't send it back. So the prices just stayed down. And it's pretty interesting to watch because it says a lot about the project and where we are. And I think it's going to come up as we talk about the miner because, we just don't have that kind of speculative crypto participation that a lot of other projects have because we just haven't focused on it and we don't exist on a bunch of checks. And at the end of the day, this is where we are. It's just where we found ourselves. So again, I want to remind everybody in the announcements that we did post some addresses to take community donations to get onto larger checks. Haven't really got much in that so far, and I know everybody's kind of waiting for crypto to do something before they're able to really participate in that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to remind us that still exists and is out there. The idea of being on DEX now has opened up the point system. The point system is fully completed and working for LP. So if you've transferred, tokens over for D2X or SCP, you can now stake them into liquidity pools. And in that process, go to scpri.me/points. And you can actually participate in a airdrop coming in September for season 1, which is going to pay out a very significant chunk of tokens to a very small minority of people in the community who are actually participating. So I highly recommend you think about doing that and consider getting involved because right now it's just going to end up being a crazy situation for a few people. And then everybody else is going to look back in hindsight and say nobody told us. So, but the deal there is that SCP unable to transport, staying down there in that price. So one of the things that I've noted over the last couple of weeks is there's going to be some benefits to SCP on the Solana side that won't exist on the ScPrime side. And so, for instance, one of the things in the development that we have shifted, we were going to have a process called storage credits. And storage credits were potentially interesting because they might have even shed off another coin. But in the end, what we decided is it didn't really make sense to roll out storage credits. But in fact, what we're going to implement is just something in the XNS console called Pay with SCP. And the deal there is that for those of you who came in on this minor deal and don't know who we are and don't know much about our project is, we are a storage project product. Essentially, we do, have a very robust blockchain environment. We do have a very robust crypto sort of background to the project, and tokenomics and a fair launch and all of that sort of stuff. We don't really have we aren't like a meme coin, for instance, right? We have a real DPIN underneath us, a decentralized physical infrastructure network of several thousand nodes providing storage across the planet, in what has turned out to be one of the most performant, one of the most durable, and one of the most secure storage platforms around. It's not really, built to take on other crypto projects. Not saying they can't use it like any other business, but there haven't been a lot of other crypto businesses that have need for backup disaster recovery in a big way, or surveillance cams, or media and entertainment type stuff, the typical stuff that S3 storage uses. But the one thing that we do continually get is we get questions from our users, our people that are part of the network, our miners, and blah, 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 who ask about, well, how can I use the storage? I mean, I have this NAS in front of me. How do I, use some of this thing? And so the idea was, with storage credits originally, and now pay with SCP, is this idea that you can go ahead and use the relayer to upload your own stuff to the network, but then you can actually pay with the revenues that you've generated off of your own devices instead of using hard cash at the XNS website. So the thing about that, and why I'm tying it in right now, is because what we're probably going to do is limit that only to Solana-based SCP. Potentially in the future, when we do a bridge to ETH or a bridge to another L1, then we will wrap that in there as well. But at the end of the day, it's going to start out as that side and not be able to be paid with the SCP on the ScPrime side. So the benefit of that, by the way, especially with some of the new stuff that Solana's been rolling out, and Solana has just been, if you haven't been paying attention, what happened this year to those guys is they ran into some gigantic congestion issues. It was really nasty. All the focus got put on networking, and then all of a sudden they got a lot of that pretty well, mitigated. And then over the last like 2 months, they've just been shipping like crazy. So they have all these new features that are built in for extrapolating and pushing out the wallet features and other bits of the network. And I think it's going to be very easy for us to wrap the wallet and console into our XNS console, such that you'll be able to go right into your account and just say, okay, I have a bill this month of, $14 for my cloud storage, of all the stuff I'm storing, my business is storing, whatever. And I could just go ahead and click right in my Solana wallet that's ingrained into the console and just pay my bill. So those SCP on the other side actually are probably going to turn out to have more utility than most people are actually thinking about right now. And I suspect that'll change the ARB price right now, but maybe it won't. Maybe that price will stay low. But if it does, I know it makes a lot of sense to probably consider it, because it doesn't make sense that ARB exists. But anyway, that's that. And there's other things that we've already mentioned will happen with the outside-based SCP. So, for instance, the other thing that happens there is that every block that gets mined right now produces 50 coins. If you remember the community vote we did 2 months ago, one of the things we did to accommodate this miner was we added an extra amount of emission going forward for the next 5 years. Not a significant amount. We've already mined 55 million coins. We're going to mine another 5 to 7 million, I think, by the time 10 years is done. So the inflation really didn't change significantly, but it did a little bit. And those 50 coins that are being mined have a 10% block fee for development. Originally, that was called a dev fee in the code base, but the devs haven't collected that money since 2019. So this fee is actually going into a burn right now, and that burn is kept, we're keeping track of it with the transporter. And what will end up happening is all of those 10% burn coins will end up on the outside as Solana-based SCP, and they are all earmarked to go back to the community for SCP staking. And I'm not talking about LP staking on that side. I'm talking about liquid staking, where we just set up straight ahead. If you stash away, if you lock away SCP, you can collect a yield. So it's a little less risky than LP and a little bit, probably less valuable, but still the ability will exist to collect a yield on holding SCP for the longer term. So that's another benefit and there's already a whole bunch of coins accruing there because it's been since the hard fork that fund has been built and growing. So that's another one. And then the last one is, of course, that we fully do expect to turn on SCP claims for the SPF's D2X over on that side of the fence. And I expect that will happen over the summer here. And along with that process, we will also begin the work on doing storage contracting on top of that L1. So potentially, as I've noted, we'll become chain agnostic going forward, where we might have storage networks running on ETH, we might have them running on Solana, we might have them running on multiple blockchains, with the parent blockchain and the parent verification and the ultimate underlying validation of blocks taking place here on ScPrime with proof of work and potentially this miner and more if other manufacturers see fit to and join the chain. So, all right, so that's kind of that with the development process. We have a whole bunch of other sprints that we're working on that are back to development facing, back to focusing on the product and the network and the storage and everything. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this year because it does look very bright for us. We already have a fairly well working product. We're working with a couple of installations that are really pushing it to its limits, and that's helping us to tweak and tune and iterate. But I really believe that by the time we get to the end of this year, we're literally going to have the best S3 storage on the planet, and that's Web 2, Web 3, Web whatever. And it's really just a matter now of figuring out the best ways to get case studies done so that we can onboard real world customers and get people using the storage to load up the network. But overall, the development process looks pretty good in the end of the year. Anyway, let's talk about this miner. So here's the deal. If for those who don't actually know what's going on, I'll just give you the quick cliff notes. We hit a crossroads, and what we had arrived at last year was ultimately that we were going to potentially start the process to move away from proof of work because we had kind of a roller coaster ride with it for the last 5 years. It kind of looked like things were going all that direction anyway to proof of stake or some other kind of novel consensus. So what we had done is we had begun the process of road mapping out what it was going to be to move this whole project to a different L1, and that L1 turned out to be Solana, and we had begun that whole sort of thing. Those of you who've been around for a while will note that I had posted in the consensus mining channel a couple of times over the last 3 years that there was a pretty good opportunity for a miner manufacturer with us if they took advantage of it, and the stars finally did align, and the folks at Bitmain did reach out to us and said, hey, look, we've got this situation and this looks pretty ideal. Can we convince you not to go proof of stake? And in talking to them at length about how they had kind of shifted posture over the last couple of years, I got a lot more comfortable. They get a bad knock, I think, a lot of times about working with projects. I mean, whether some of it's deserved or not, I don't really care, and I don't want to litigate it. What I do want to say is that I think they've recognized that they need to work more hand in glove with projects. I think on the Bitcoin side of the house, everybody just gets into this place that it's totally decentralized, winner take all, just hard knuckle, do whatever to get those sats. But when you start talking about altcoins, you really have to work with the ecosystems because it gets really challenging, right? And like in our case, the project we came out of, there was a big, dust up between the ASIC manufacturers and the project. And that actually bled over to the project that this miner was originally targeted at. But what it did for some of the ASIC manufacturers is it made them recognize, look, we have to work a little bit more closely with the communities. And so as they started talking to us about, doing this, the opportunity just really started to seem really good. It's like there was a lot of power and benefit to being able to marry this up. Now, doesn't mean that we are, now Bitmain, centric, or that's the only one. I truly hope that other manufacturers come along and, build competitive mining scenarios and go forward. But the next step that has to happen for us is we have to get a much broader recognition in the crypto community than we have today. So that's part of the thing that I think that we will be focused on with Bitmain is doing a lot of marketing, doing a lot of co-marketing where we do like Twitter Spaces, or we show up at their events, or they show up at our events, or we do various kinds of things. Then we also hope that they can help with some soft handoffs where they, connect us up with people at, some mid-tier exchanges, potentially get our name in, other people's mouths. So essentially we end up having a smoother ride to getting onboarded into places that we need to go. And I think this will all happen in concert with two sorts of things that are really powerful. One is we're already now on Solana dexes, and Solana is the most, whether you like it or not, Solana is the altcoin right now that is getting the most heat. Everybody's talking about ETH, but ETH continues to just sort of languish, waiting for the ETF to happen. So in its stead, Solana is the one that's really moving up the ladder, and we're already there. So, what we expect is that more and more people will learn about us, be able to trade, and so forth. So that's already there. Getting more people into the storage world, though, is the next side of the thing from the crypto perspective, and I think marketing can help there. And I think getting this miner community back up on the table is also a very powerful thing. Um, Lastly, just I'll say about that is, so when we came out of this, we thought we had a real clean run with it, right? The other project discarded an entire population of ASICs. We said, fine, we'll go out and we'll, provide them with a place to live and to hang out. Well, the other project realized, well, we can't allow that, because if we do that, they're going to show up with, 8x more hash rate than we have, and it'll look like the fork, has outstripped the master, and ultimately they did some very, well, I won't even put an adjective to it, but they did some stuff to essentially make it so that we never got the hash rate that we should have got. And the people that did buy the miners on our chain ended up being very insular, right? And saying, well, look, let's just keep all this to ourselves and not really tell a lot of people and so forth. And we'll just have this whole world. So we had a hash rate of 2 or 3 petahash, but it was held very closely amongst a very small population of people. Chain has never really been truly secure in that environment. And ultimately, it's put us into kind of a challenging place. So now the situation is that with this new miner, what can happen is, sort of threefold. One, we're going to be the only ones on this algo, at least for now. I'm not saying other projects won't show up. I'm not even saying Bitmain's not out there talking to other people trying to get them to come onto the algo. Maybe they are. I don't know. But it doesn't matter, because we're there right now, and we're the first, and we're the only ones. So this is the deal. There's new miners available for sale. They're for sale at a price that is extremely excellent, right? Because this model was built for another project, and ultimately, if it had sold when it was originally developed, would have sold for $5,000 to $7,000. So, getting it for 14, 16, 2,000, something in that neighborhood, is a really, really powerful sort of a deal. And the beauty also of having this be sort of the new flagship going forward, there's quite likely to be a very large mass of onesies and twosies that get sold. So right out of the box, we're probably going to end up with a much more decentralized hash rate than we've ever had. And then ultimately, I suspect that what will happen is over time, farmers will see it as being profitable and it will tend towards centralization. And that's one of the big challenges with POW. But I still think that this is the best answer for us for the next 1 to 2 years. And then after that, we'll see where we end up. A couple of months ago, we made the algo change. Then a month ago, we sent out an email to everybody saying, look, there's going to be a pre-sale. If you're interested, if you want to be involved, and if you want this thing, go ahead and click this link. And a bunch of you did. And I think it was like 100, 150 of you did. And what happened is that we have now then sent out a separate email to you with a code, and your email is qualified to get in there and purchase the unit. For everybody else says sold out. But your compatriots are all placing those orders and they will start mining on these things pretty quickly. So if they do start shipping in 7 working days, and it's only going to be a couple of days from China. So that's the deal. I think that will be a fairly small number. Each individual was able to purchase up to 5 units. I don't know how people are doing. I haven't yet got any feedback yet from our Bitmain rep, but I suspect that the sales have been decently brisk, and that a reasonable number have gone out there. If it's more than 200, I'll be very happy. If it's the full max number, then I'll be even way more happy. But I think what we're going to see is we're going to have a very decentralized and very robust hash rate almost immediately out of the gate. So that's that situation. And if you are not able to complete an order, you should definitely send an email to our sales at examiner.net or to the Bitmain people on their support link. And, one of us will be able to help you figure out why you're not being able to get through. So that's the deal. So let me go back to the audience, and if you can, yeah, let's see.
Hello,
Oh,
can you hear me?
it's a guy. I'm sorry. So you must be the husband.
Yeah, I'm the husband. Sorry, Layla was studying, so she called me. This is the husband duty now.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your role is in the Bitmain ecosphere?
Yeah, so basically we are Layla Mining. We are a team that are creators. We are based in Middle East. So we teach people how to mine, how to start mining, since everyone is using the miners to mine at homes or farms or host it anywhere. So we are like working with Bitmain to teach the people how to use the miners and how to start. Because in each bull run, there is a new people who enter the market, but they don't know what is the miners and how the miner works and how to deal with the miners. So this is like kind of our job to do reviews and talk about the miners and make coverage for Bitmain events. So my name is Abdallah and I am from Middle East and Layla is my wife. Layla started to deal with Bitmain since 2020, and she first met Margie Fang, and she talked with her about the potential collaboration in Middle East because we have so many people who really interested. But the problem that people was facing is they was telling that Bitmain is not focusing on home miners because they said Bitmain is only focusing on farms. Basically, we are in this industry and we are changing that with Bitmain and going to focus more about the home miners as well. So talking about Bitmain for people who doesn't know Bitmain, they are established in 2013 and they are the world leading manufacturer of digital currency mining servers. They have a brand called Ant Miners and they used to do only Bitcoin miners, and since 2017 they started to do altcoins miners since their vision is to create a better digital world. So they are not just focusing on Bitcoin miners anymore. They are focusing on altcoins. So they produce so many miners, which is for Dashcoin or Litecoin. And you can know if anyone who was saw the A3 for Siacoin. There was also another miners established in that moment. And they always focus on the efficiency. So if you are a miner, you always focus on the energy and power consumption. But with years, they are like increasing the hash rate of the miners they are producing, but as well, they are reducing the power consumption. So when we saw the when I was in the WDMS, I was in the WDMS. I saw there is so many panels happen, and the last panel was almost last panel happen about the altcoins. When I saw there is Cadena and there is the ScPrime and there is the Lithium as well, I knew that there is a new miner is already coming. And I didn't heard about the news to be honest, but I when I saw that there is a new miner coming for the ScPrime, I was shocked. But this is a really promising because I read about ScPrime since maybe 3 months ago or 5 months ago. I've been in mining since 2016, but I am not really into the deep ends. But since I found out that Bitmain is collaborating with ScPrime, and before there was collaborating with Siacoin with the A3 miner, uh, well, I was interested about this miner as well. So, talking about the miner is called DR7. I've received so many questions in my Telegram about the miner itself. They told me, can it mine Siacoin? And the answer is no. The miner cannot mine Siacoin because the miner is built on Blake 256 14R algorithm, which is already, as I heard, is ScPrime is going to move from Blake 2B to the next algorithm, which is Blake 256 R14. And also, some of the questions they asked me about the miner, why it's called DR7. What is because Bitmain, if you know, they are launching a new miners. Somehow they call it first with number 3, then number 5, then number 7. But why DR7? As you mentioned before, this miner was built for another project, but the another project is already they switched their algorithm to Blake 3B. And Bitmain saw there is a really promising project, which is the ScPrime, that really worth the miner. And this is now the miner is made for the ScPrime, which is, comes with 127 terahash, which is very, very powerful hash rate. And also it is so efficient, like 2730 watts only. So this is miner. This miner you can run it in your home. To be honest, coming with efficiency 21.5 joule per tera, and with the after coupon price, you can see it's only $1,470. So this is a perfect miner. I wish I can get one, to be honest, and I really asked Bitmain to send me one to review, to let me talk more about the ScPrime project. Because after the announcement, I saw there is a real pumps today about the ScPrime. I saw so many like so many people talking about the price of ScPrime after the announcement, which is I think the this token is really doing great before even launching the miner. But with the launch of this miner, we can know that it's going to be enhanced, and the network is going to be enhanced, and the security and efficiency, and also the adoption and scalability will be increased, because I believe like this token will be listed in Ampool as well. Also, the network will be so secure if you are going to buy the miner. That it clearly show that you really support the token. Unless I'm not a GPU miner, but I to be honest, I have so many people who mine on GPUs, and they told me like why we should buy the ASICs. So to be honest, on my personal opinion, if you really love the project that you're going to invest in, you need to buy the ASIC, because the ASIC is going to stay with you for a long time to support the token itself. As well as what I want to mention is I think in the future also we might see there is adoption, or the token will be listed in major exchanges. So as I said, I'm really happy with the miner, and people who was concerned about the profit, how much this miner can generate. Well, to be honest, there is no accurate calculations for now. Most of the website, they are using the old algorithm, which is Blake 2B. And this is wrong now, because maybe this is still live, but the miner is working on Blake 256, as I said. So once it adjusted in the website, you're going to see the real profit. And for the people who bought the miner, I can say just congratulations, because you bought one of the best miners or best brands in the industry. Because I've been using the Antminer since 2016. I haven't faced any real big issues, and the customer service always here to help you. And if you want anything else, ask questions about the miner or anything else you want to help, you can just DM me or ask me. Because it's too late right now. Maybe I will go to sleep, but I'm really enjoying my time with you guys, and I'm really it's my honor now to hear more about the ScPrime and to be with you guys. Thank you for this. Thank you so much.
Sure. What a great introduction. And I think there's going to be a lot of evangelism and a lot of training and a lot of interesting opportunities over the next several months to really kind of expose us to the broader world and people that you talk to in a daily basis. So we're really happy you're here, and
Hey.
I will ping my rep and make sure that they get you a unit out there so that you have one of these units. I also have to work through my own issues on getting this set up in my own domicile, but that's kind of because I'm
Yeah,
not a.
well, everyone should get a unit, to be honest, because if you love the project, you need to get a unit right away.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's interesting about our project, by the way, and about DPIN in general. One of the things that you'll note is that everybody in the audience right now already has quote unquote miners, but they aren't consensus miners. They're miners that are essentially providing storage on the network. And we have a map of some 2,200 nodes around the planet right now of people that are making up our data center. And the benefit of those nodes for a residential or, kind of domicile is that they don't use up a lot of electricity and they don't make a lot of noise. They make a little noise. So, that's been a very easy ingress for a lot of people. This kind of a device is going to be a little trickier for some because if you've never had an ASIC in your house,
True.
they're loud, they're hot, they need exhausting, they need specialized electric. And so you do have a little bit of work to do in order to be able to comfortably live with one of these things in your house. They're not going to sit in your living room next to you while you're watching TV, that's for sure. And also, the older
Yeah.
ASICs that were not too high had this neat thing where they could fit inside Coleman coolers in order to quiet them down. But this thing's too high for a Coleman cooler, so we need to figure out another idea on how to silence them a little bit for household consumption. But anyway, I appreciate you showing up, and community now has intro to you. So feel free in the chat window to post your Telegram and to post other contact information, and let's keep communicating.
Sure. There's some questions here. The website say the miner power is to 2730. Yeah, it is to 2730. And as well, are they 2020 220 volts? Yeah, it is. Because as shown in the poster, they show that the miner is using different PSU. And as you know, this is the old PSU that's used in the miner, which is you need two C13 cables to run the miner, which is not big and big issue, to be honest. But the new PSU, if you bought the miner, they bring you a new cable with it. So if you have any questions, I will just drop my information here. You can ask me, and have a good day, have a great night, and hopefully like everyone get a miner, and as well as he said, to be honest, sorry, I don't know your name, Faustin, your name.
It's Ken.
Yeah, it's Ken, sorry. As he said, the miner is not like a silent miner. So you need to, like kind of to build a room for it or kind of put it in some place that you will not feel so noised about it. So if you really know about the ASIC miners or anything, you can check our YouTube channel because you're gonna see the real ASICs on like live. And most of you already saw the ASICs, to be honest. And this is it. So thank you so much. I'll just drop my Telegram. If anyone have a question, he can just DM me, and hopefully I can answer all of you. And as well, I hope there will be a new patch, and a lot of people can get the miner as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Kim.
Cool. Appreciate it. One of the big issues when people start looking at putting ASICs together is they've got to look at profitability and ROI. And, this was the thing. So, like, if you go all the way back to 2017, the way that played out, it was like this. So, the project we were all associated with was GPU mined. And the problem is that there was this great, Asian GPU mining community, if you want to, for lack of a better word, farms, big farms, right? Giant farms. But they weren't farms that were built to mine Sia coin, for instance. They were built to mine ETH because ETH was the thing. And the deal is back then is that with the CG miner application that was built, I can't remember the name of there was a software that we all used, but the software allowed for dual mining. You could mine ETH, and then at the same time, you could mine one of other like 6 coins, Library. There were a couple of them. And Sia was one of them. That's how I kind of got to know Sia and came into that. And so I had bought just a ton of NVIDIA GPUs back then and, was doing that. And it was because of that miner centralization, the farms, that the founder decided, we need to, break this cartel or monopoly or conspiracy or whatever you want to call it. And, that's when they said, well, we're going to move to ASICs. And the minute they announced ASICs in June of 2017, they followed it up by saying, and since, we can't trust anybody, they started making an ASIC miner in June of 2017. Literally within 3 months, Bitmain already had a unit built. Right? It was like, oh, you're going to do ASICs? Cool. We know how to do that. And they had one built and they were doing some mining, shadow mining behind the scenes. They weren't doing a lot, by the way. If you go back and look at the hash rate, it got a very minor bump, right? People that were all up in arms about, oh, secret mining and blah, blah, blah. It's just stupid because the hash rate never really went up. It only went up a tiny little amount. Yes, they did do some private mining. For, I think, a variety of reasons, partly to test units, but also partly to gain coins. Because one of the things that happens with ASICs and has been pretty interesting to watch, and this is where it gets a little tricksy, but there ends up being speculation around it, right? There ends up being coin appreciation and there ends up being, things that happen that, it's hard to tell exactly what drives them and whatever. But I think, a nod and a wink, we all sort of understand kind of what it all means. If I'm somebody who's building a piece of hardware that's going to validate your chain, and that piece of hardware is predicated on you ROIing your machinery in a fair, short period of time, one of the easiest ways that I can ensure that you ROI your machine is I can help to ensure that the coin price goes up while you're in that mining process, because if the coin price appreciates while you're in the process of mining, then what ends up happening is you end up ROIing sooner, or there can be more of you, right? So it creates a bit of an incentive there for things to happen that, quite frankly, anybody in business would consider and would think to do. And it's not necessarily even wrong, by the way. When those guys at the other project were all up in arms about self-mining by the manufacturer, they painted it as being the end of the world. And it's like, how? Right? Yeah, no doubt it's very centralized. There's no doubt about it that, yes, one entity has a lot of the security of your chain, but they're an entity that has a strong vested interest in your success. So it's not like they're going to have 51 you and tank the price of the coin, because that would work completely 180 to their interests. So it's wrong to just say that, self-mining by these manufacturers is somehow a bad thing. It turned into a bad thing for those guys, by the way, because once they announced that they were going to fork them off and they gave them several months, the other manufacturer that showed up said, well, we've got 100 petahash we have to throw onto the chain, then sorry about that, but we're just going to have to take 100% of the block rewards for the next 8 months or 6 months or whatever until your fork. And they did. So, you have to work in concert with these folks. And one of the things that ends up happening, I'm going to show you a spreadsheet right now, just so you can get some understanding of this. So this is a little spreadsheet that we had Rob of ScPrime Pool generate. And by the way, I should just say this really quickly. There are going to be 3 pools out of the gate: DX Pool, Amp Pool, and Rob's ScPrime Pool. So, definitely spread your hash rate around when you get the chance to definitely use all of them. We really, really are happy that Amp Pool is showing up. That's also another very big step for us. So that's the deal. But what this spreadsheet is it's just a simple ROI calc. And so one of the things that most ASIC miner people tend to do is they use it like a 1-year DMARC. If you don't ROI in a year, if it takes 18 months or 24 months, then that's probably not a good value proposition. So, they're definitely looking at that 1-year number. So that's this number on the bottom right here that we want to keep in our sites, right? And so let's say right out of the gate that they end up selling 350 units over in this pre-sale, right? And out of those 350 units, they're going to generate this amount of hash rate, and there's going to be a certain amount of daily earnings, and the block reward minus the dev fee is going to be 45 SCP, which is a daily output to miners of about 6,500 coins. So that's what you end up having. The current price is bad. I know that it's been this way for a long time, all through the bear market, pretty much even before the bear market, obviously. So at current price, right, with this kind of factor, and I put the average purchase price of 1750, assuming that some people will end up buying it for 2100 going forward. We can change that number to this, what is it, 1470 for right now. And so at 15 cents, if they sell 350 miners, these things are never going to ROI, right? It's bad. They're never going to ROI. So this coin price cannot stand. It literally cannot stand. If it does, then this whole experiment that we're on right now is going to turn out to be a failure. If we change the price to 30 cents, now all of a sudden things are getting better. If we change it to 50 cents, now all of a sudden it's about 20 months to ROI 350 machines, right? If we get it up to 75 cents, 350 machines would end up ROIing in 7 months, and that'd be crazy, and everybody'd be piling on, and then they'd sell a whole bunch more miners, right? You see how that works? So the miners will look at the calculation that is in this sheet, and it'll show up on miner websites, and then they will draw a conclusion. Miners look at that ROI and they think that the ROI today is the ROI tomorrow. And what I've always said is all mining is trading by proxy. And if you don't understand that, if you are not in the game recognizing that mining is trading by proxy and you end up mining a bunch of coins and selling them at the bottom, then you aren't a real miner and you shouldn't be in the game, and you should get driven out of the game when the prices crash and so forth, because that's what this thing is. It's about mining coins at a certain point, keeping them for the ideal point to distribute them, and not distribute them all as soon as you get them. And this happens on Bitcoin, by the way. If you look at Bitcoin, what you'll see is miner reserves will go up over the time in the bear markets and when the prices are low. But then as the prices go up and we get into leading up to the halvings, then you start to see a lot of miner reserves hit exchanges and they get sold off. And then, the strong miners actually make a lot of profitability, and that allows them to expand and buy a lot more miners and blah, blah, blah. That's what you have to do with this. So you can look at this spreadsheet and you can say, okay, coin price has to be 0.60 cents right now for me to ROI in 1 year. And if it's that, then I'm going to buy another miner, right? But that's not really the answer. What you have to do is you have to say, first of all, you have to say as well, do I think that the coin price is going to go up to 60 cents? If I look at the chart, boy, it sure doesn't look like it. And then you have to say to yourself, and how many more miners do I think that they're going to sell out into the world? And, how high is the coin price going to have to go in order to make this work? And that's when you have to start thinking about all the things that we used to talk about in the community about where we are as a project. I just did this yesterday, and so I'm going to throw these numbers out. They're probably close. They might be a little off. storage market cap is 260 million, or Sia is like 260 million. Storage is 56 million. So storage is about 6 to 8x us, and Sia is whatever. I'm not a math. I'm a bricklayer. So the deal is that our market cap compared to just those two projects is way, 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 way undervalued, right? Not even a little bit. It's way undervalued, right? And then if you want to compare us to Arweave or Filecoin or, any of those guys, it's just not even, it's not even close. And yet we have this 2,000 strong DPIN network of over 50 petabytes of capacity on a working product that somebody who runs VM backup disaster and recovery software for a SME or even a larger enterprise can clock in and use today comfortably to back up securely and privately and performantly their critical business assets to our network. It works that way today. They get an SLA, they get a TOS, they get to pay with fiat rails, they get all this stuff, and it's all now. So it doesn't make sense that we've been that undervalued to those guys for the longest time. But part of it is we've never had the recognition of people like Bitmain. So now we do. We've never had that hand-holding where maybe we can get some exchange activity that we should probably get over the coming 6 months. So all of us are going to have a very clear mandate over the next 6 months to do more marketing. So we're going to be doing a Twitter space next week with Bitmain. They have 100 and some thousand follows on their Twitter account. So that will introduce us to a large community of people that don't know about us, and almost nobody knows about us right now in crypto. So that's a big intro. They're going to introduce us to more KOLs like Layla Mining. I suspect we're going to find out that we have a lot of new friends over the next coming weeks and months. But what ends up having to happen is that price is going to go up. Now you're saying to yourself, well, price is never going up. Why is it going to go up now? Well, because of where we are, what we've developed, and also what part of the cycle we're in, right? We are right at that point post-halving where we have a few months where we have to kind of grind out the Bitcoin miners who are not really very strong, the weaklings, right? Once those guys all get ground into dust, then what ends up happening is the Bitcoin price then just turns straight up. And that's coming. And this time when it goes straight up, it's probably going to go really fast and really high. And because now we have ETFs. Back in 2005, 2004, actually, gold got an ETF. Gold had gone along for years. They dropped the gold standard. It had been, back when I was a youngster, it was, $50 an ounce. And then it got up to like 300 and it just stayed there for decades, right? It was just nothing. There's no movement on gold at all. And then gold got an ETF. And this is what gold did for the next, 2004 through 2011 on ETF purchases. That's what's going to happen with Bitcoin, right? This is the last cycle. This is the last time we're going to have this 4-year sort of thing that we have right now, because the ETFs are going to take over, and BlackRock and Fidelity and Goldman and all those guys are going to take this little plaything and they're going to turn it into this. So when these people start talking about, $1 million Bitcoin, you just roll your eyes. You really need to be thinking quite higher than that, to be frank about it. Might take 5 or 7 years, by the way, to get there. And this cycle, it should probably go quite a ways up. Why is this important? Because when Bitcoin goes up, so do altcoins. So when we take a look at this chart right here, this is called Total 2. And this is a chart that is showing altcoins, right? This is all the altcoins, including ETH, and what they do. And if you overlay Bitcoin on top of that, you can see that they roughly follow along with Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes up, and if I do it like this and change this to logarithmic, it gets really close. So you can see how it works. Bitcoin goes up, altcoins follow. Bitcoin goes up, altcoins follow. So that's fully going to happen this cycle. And so what will end up happening is that this is going to go up quite a bit higher, and we are in that group, right? And the beauty is now we're also in that group, and we're recognized by some big players in the industry. So that's why I think the coin is going to appreciate. I don't have any control over it, and I don't have any ability and I'm just cheerleading it. That's really, I'm not telling you that anything you do to buy the coin right now is going to be guaranteed. You could buy it and it could go down to 2 cents. And I believe that what will happen is that our partnering with Bitmain in marketing, our ability to get other partnerships generated out of this, our ability to find speaking opportunities that we haven't had in the past, attending trade shows, doing things along those lines are going to all become value accretive to the project and ultimately to the coin values. And that will allow more miner sales. And as more miners get sold, more security accrues to the blockchain and more ability for you to ROI the miners. So it is a true speculative type process. It's called spec mining for that very purpose. You're not mining to essentially sell everything today. You're mining to pay your electricity if you have to, and then everything that you make an overage above that, you want to hold on to in order to get to that gravy. So October of 2021 was kind of this last watershed moment for the project after the post-halving of 2020. And then what ended up happening is we got this run up from the low here of this cycle of about, looks like it was about 2 cents, 1.8 cents, went all the way up to $3.30 on this chart. I think it did actually hit 360 on South Exchange. But so you can see what happens. And I fully expect that we're going to get that similar kind of activity. And I want to just share one last thing here with you, and then we'll open it up for more questions. I'll look through the thing. The whole deal here is that if you kind of think about 2021, we did have, this situation with proof of work mining. There wasn't any new miners. It was really kind of, sclerotic and generally kind of like ossified, I guess is the way to put it. But it was still there, and it still maintained, validation. Whether it was secure or not really didn't matter because we didn't have any real customer storage on the network yet or any of that sort of stuff. So it was what it was. But what happened was in June of 2021, we released the Examiner, right? And so a number of Examiners got out into the wild through the summer. The coin price kind of did some dipping and whatever. And let's see if I can overlay Bitcoin on top of this. You can see we got kind of hit over the head because Bitcoin got hit over the head, if you remember 2021. And that went down. And then as we got into here, people started recognizing DPIN was this thing. They didn't know what to call it at that point. But they loved this Examiner and thought it was a great idea. And that's when we sold a whole bunch of Examiners, and that's when this happened for us. So I want to let everybody know that we are about to launch within the next 2 weeks a pre-sale on our website, the new RelayerXM. And the new RelayerXM is really, really cool. It's this slick little box, tiny box, yet has a 13900 processor in it. So 30,000 pass mark, up to 96 gigabytes of memory, 3 M.2s, so a couple of, rated together system slash other type drives, and then even the ability to go with big internal NVMEs or with enterprise grade NVMEs and a U2 configuration, and USB 4 copious externals, so you can take a JBOD config and plug into the thing and put a bunch of platter drives on it and start adding on storage for the Examiner side of the house. And then has multiple network ingress and SFP 2.5 Ethernet duals, so up to 10G total if you use SFP. But the box is just really, really cool, and it starts right out of the gate. I don't know if I'm supposed to show this, but I guess I don't know who's going to punish me if I'm not. But the deal is that this is sort of what the RelayerXM is, right? It's going to be two specific little operational things running on the same box, a relayer and an Examiner, and it's up to you to decide what you want, right? If you buy the thing as just an Examiner, you say, well, I don't really need the relayer, then you just won't instance the relayer and you won't run it. But if you decide you want both, you can have both. If you just want to run the relayer, you can run the relayer. This is a watershed moment for people that are selling storage to businesses, but then always run into that thing. Yeah, but you got to run a relayer because it kind of turns people off. So they're going to be able to just buy this little box for, you know, $1,000 to $2,000, plug this thing in and access our storage network. So this box is we're gonna start accepting pre-orders on it in the next couple of weeks on the XMiner website, and I expect to ship the box by the end of August. So I highly suggest, if you're interested in this thing, that you start queuing up for it. It's not going to be terribly expensive, and it's a really slick configuration. So I kind of look at us as being sort of back in here again, right? This is where we are. So you can draw whatever conclusions you want to draw about whether the Bitmain miner is going to be profitable or not for you. I'm not going to, make any judgment. You can draw conclusions about how and why you think that price might change from what it is today. But I do want to sort of show you that from the perspective of, well, I don't know, let's say the manufacturer, let's say they want to sell 2,000 miners because they've got a warehouse full of these things, right? Well, to sell 2,000 miners, let's say we make the coin price 225. That's still not high enough. Let's make it 3. Okay, now we're getting there. 350. How come everything is 350? I don't understand. Where did that even come? It's like a fib or something. I don't know. It's not quite 350 anyway, so that's cool. 340, 335, something like that. The coin price has to be $3.30 in order for them to sell off 2,000 miners, which I'm sure they want to sell 2,000 miners. They got like 5,000 of them in the warehouse. And over the next 2 years, I think they're going to want to sell the whole batch. So this is probably where the coin price needs to at least start in order for them to really make a dent in that inventory and be in a place. And that 330 number is really interesting, right? Because if you look here, look at that. It's it's right about there. So that's pretty cool, huh? And there's a lot of that kind of confluence in crypto, and it just sort of always runs like that in these cycles. So let me look to the chat and see what kind of questions there are, and then we'll go ahead and call the meeting a success. Yeah, the DR7 has been sold out, but it's only been sold out to nobody because it's only really been sold right now to this pre-sale to the community, and it's not sold out to those guys. If you have a coupon, you're good for 30 days. Will other miners work on the algo? This is an interesting question. I'm going to answer it as concisely as I can. But at the end of the day, I don't know that it's going to be a satisfactory answer. There's nothing, in our mining algo, in our mining module to say that other 256R14 miners can't mine on the chain. But there is some difference in the specific new miner DR7 that has been implemented, that the mining pools can make a decision on their own whether they want to roll out that ability to mine the old miners or not. Our goal is to sell a lot of DR7s, help Bitmain sell a lot of DR7s, and really help them be a smashing success on the new miner, not have a situation where a bunch of already ROI'd miners for people who have no skin in the game with us show up and demand that we help, them make more money. It's just not a thing. If you need that or want that, then, it's like in crypto. You can always write software yourself and make it happen. Yeah, so RelayerXM on DIY. So I suspect that we will make it easier for people that want to run both at the same time. But that whole switcher software, that nice little controller software that's going to allow you to go back and forth, is going to be proprietary to the machines that the corp licenses and sells. So we're probably going to find other manufacturers to build them. We're also going to build them, obviously, ourselves. And those are not going to be on DIY units. It's clean like that. The other thing I'll just note is we do expect to roll basic relayer functionality into the standard XMiner UI, so that if you're just somebody who has some Game of Thrones, seasons you want to archive, and you have your XMiner there, you can just click a link and have them go up to the network, and then you can pay with SCP. The new miner RelayerXM will come with it's up to you entirely. It's going to have several options internally for NVMEs, probably from 256 all the way up to 4 terabytes for the primary dual XM NVMEs. Then the third NVMe that's in there will be up to you. You'll have options to choose there. And then I like in my basement, I've got a little Oracle JBOD that, this thing's really cool. It doesn't require drawers like the current Xminer does. You just put a 3.5 platter in there and just close the door and it works. And it's like $150 for this device. So we'll probably offer and sell that on our website too, just to make it easy to get it all in one bundle from, one thing. But at that point, and that's a little 4-drawer, thing. So again, there you go, 80 terabytes of platter based along with quite a bit of NVMe. So, yeah, sky's the limit. Do whatever you want to do. You'll be able to buy really stripped down units so that you can essentially get what is equivalent to an MT today, and then just add storage at your own, desire. All right, Broheems, thanks for showing up. And this call will actually get edited and put up onto the YouTube, so stick around for it. And buy your miners, buy your pre-sale for the coming RelayerXM, sell storage, do everything you can to support the project, and we'll see you in about 30 days in this thing. So thanks and have a good one.